Alright, Sword and Shield, so all the prices are dropping and now it's time to buy, or around this time more or less. So as you see over here, a lot of red for Sword and Shield. Some of them are just small price differences. Like you see the first couple are only like a few dollars. But you see the bigger ones over here, like Fusion Strike down 52, Chilling Rain down 15, Silver Tempest down 5, Brilliant Stars down 8. So you're seeing like a bunch of price drops in a row, and we've been seeing a slowdown in general with Sword and Shield. But we've also seen a little bit of recovery. So I think what's happening now is that this is a slow period where like if you want to get Sword and Shield boxes, at least online, it'll be a little easier on TCG Player. You get locally, obviously, there's always, it depends on your situation. But as of right now, the prices are pretty stagnant. So if you want to buy, now is kind of the time to buy, like, because before every rise there's like this sort of slower period. Like, see, over here before the rise from Lost Origin, wow, it's like a year ago, it was just 240 to like 390. It was pretty much that price for a while, like, plus or minus, like, let's say 20 $40, and then there'd be a slow period, it goes up, slow period. So right now we're in the slow period. It'll probably last, I mean, the normal like average length that these last is, let's see, over here, let's say the peak was May 19th, and then it kind of went until like July 21st. So that's about 2 months. So you have about 2 months of time to possibly buy things, at least based on that part. And this one over here lasted for January 20th, let's say, roughly, to about May. So that's about 3 or 4 months. So let's say 3 months. So you have about, like, let's say 2 or 3 months to buy out stuff. And it takes some time to acquire things, especially at good prices. And right now on TCG Play, if you're buying from there, there's just a lot of days of like with sales, and you've seen people already doing that with Lost Origin. The man picked up yesterday, 3 boxes sold yesterday, so it recently went down to 800, went to an 850 for a while, and people picked that up. And now there's some more left. But if you want to save like $50 a box, here's your time before people kind of buy everything out. You can take and choose of which seller you want to buy from as well. Fusion Strike finally dropped to 1,000. So Lost Origin had a drop the other day. Now Fusion Strike, you can see this one box at about $1,000. This is a pretty cheap box. Otherwise, it goes back to 1050. It could drop a little more, but depends how many you want, and it's just a little less stressful than trying to get these. Sometimes I see the market movements, and like I would love to just suddenly acquire things, but these aren't stocks. Like, unless you have like a lot of good connection stuff, you can't just, depending on your connections, you can't just suddenly get a ton of products. Sometimes it's not really there. You can't get the price that you want. And then Chilling Rain hasn't had any sales recently, so Chilling Rain slowed down, but the price has been pretty steady. It went down to like five. I think it's been like below 550 before, but now it's going back up. Now there's a few cheaper boxes you get from these. Evolving Skies has been hovering around 2700. So Evolving Skies is kind of a weird one because, like, I don't know, Evolving Skies doesn't drop as much sometimes. It does tend to stay in a certain range, and since everything's kind of stagnant, like, I guess it's around 2700 now, so that's kind of the range that you might want to buy it for. For Silver Tempest is actually a little bit of activity. So some of these boxes have more activity than others, where like there's gonna be fewer boxes available at the moment. Silver Tempest sold 3 yesterday. The man has still been pretty good. So every now and then you see some boxes around 475, then it goes back up to about 500. For Brilliant Stars, like, yeah, this went down to 540. It's kind of lowest. So these are kind of the lowest it's kind of been, and then it jumps back up to 600. So you want to buy like a ton of these now, because then you hit like a 600 boxes. But there's some cheaper boxes available. Astral Radiance, this also has more potential to rise. It just takes a few sellers to buy some more, but like this hasn't quite risen yet. So sometimes it might take a while until the next bull run. That's kind of what happened with Silver Tempest. But yeah, this is not as obvious of what to do with this. Like, do you buy out the more expensive boxes now? Like, what do you do? Battle Style slowed down ever since it reached about 300. It actually dropped below 300. So now it's at 299. Hasn't had any sales for a few days. Battle Styles wouldn't really recommend getting into, really. There's other better boxes available, especially around that price point, or just add a little more dollars and you get a better box. Vivid Voltage is starting to pick up again after not selling for about 4 days. Price ladder for this isn't great. It could go up to like 270, 275, but I also wouldn't recommend getting this box. And nothing usually happening with the first couple Sword and Shield boxes. I also don't really recommend getting those as well. Unless you get like obviously you get a really good deal, but nothing's really been happening for these boxes. But yeah, these are the price differences again. Like, Battle Styles went down 6. volume scans went down 6, and yeah, so you're seeing a bunch of drops and sales basically. Alright, Obsidian Flames PCTP is still on the rise of sales. So I mentioned this compared to Paldea Evolved. So Paldea Evolved, you see pretty recently hasn't had a bunch of sales. There was a big buyout over here at 6, but otherwise ever since like September, except for this one day, really not that many sales at all, and so it's been stagnant around 700. Obsidian Flames also stagnant around 700. It's actually around 713 now, and I mentioned how the sales profile looks very different, where these are some of the top two PCTBs, at least the non-specialty ones. These are probably the top two, and Obsidian Flames is showing a little more attention. Usually Obsidian Flames is a little more expensive in general, just because the Charizard, the Charmander promo is a little better. It goes with the Stellar Crown cards as well. And it's just been selling a little better, so this seems more likely to rise than the other one. The prices don't go up as much until there's a big buyouts. It's at 713, it'll go 715 for a while, 718. It's not up till until down here it goes to 730, and here 760 that it will actually really rise. I'll still be on the lookout for that compared to Paldea Evolved, which there could be a buyouts and stuff. The price ladder is actually better for Paldea Evolved, so it has that going for it. But as of recent, not really as many sales. Scarlet Vibe base, which went to $1,000 the other day around probably September 7th. So it's been about a week since then. No sales have been bought. It's still hovering around 480 though, so just under 500. The other one is just over 400. Had 2 sales, but not really much sales at all after that. Twilight, I've been mentioning how it's been kind of rising, so it went up to 250 the other day. Now there's some cheaper ones available, so just some at like around 220 up for sale. This is also around 225, otherwise it goes back to 250. Surging Sparks is slowing down. You're seeing some boxes slow down a little bit. So Surging Sparks before this pretty much sold every day, and it would only take at most 1 day break. Now it's taking 2 days of break, so we'll see how that affects the sales. A lot of people are bunching up around 310. The price art isn't that great, but generally it's had pretty good sales overall. Shroud Fable, it's all slowing down a little bit. You see it actually sold like every day in a row for the first half of the last 30 days. Then took 1 break day, and now it took like 2 break days pretty recently. I recently mentioned how like a lot of the gains when it went to like I think around 300 went away after this big buyouts. But a lot of the prices are still on the higher side of closer to 200 than around 175. Paradox still isn't really seeing as much activity, just not a lot of sales recently. One did sell yesterday. Same thing with the other Paradox PCTB. One sold yesterday, but not a lot of sales since like starting September or even late August. Temporal Forces also seeing a slowdown over here. So PCTB could show that like PCTB is just getting a little less hyped right now. So slowdown. Temporal Forces, the blue one over here, also not a lot of sales in September. And the Stellar Crown, not a lot of sales end of August, and not a lot of sales recently. Alright, Scarlet Violet, Obsidian Flames has really been dropping a lot, so it's at 315 today, and I didn't notice it until today. I just noticed like Obsidian Flames has been one of the main boxes changing, and you just see like this whole line of red over here where there's been like no increases. So it went up to 350, it jumped from like 317 or 316 to 350, and now it's like going exactly where it was before. So like, I don't know, it just slowly has dropped ever since then. People have bought around those prices, but yeah, it's interesting. This $50 or this $35 increase can really be maintained. And yeah, otherwise, the other Scarlet Violet boxes aren't really moving in price. Scarlet Violet boxes honestly are a lot more stable than Sword and Shield boxes in terms of price movements, but they tend to keep their price movements, which is pretty good. So 4 sold 5, it's down $5 right now. Obsidian Flames. It's been selling only 1 per day. That's part of the reason why. It goes back up in price as you go up pretty quickly. But yeah, there's just a bunch of sellers who want to sell for less. Surging Sparks, I feel like if you want to get the booster box, Surging Sparks would be probably a good pickup. 13 sold yesterday. I'm just really eyeing this 270 mark. It's gonna take some time for all this supply to sell out. Like that's kind of how Surging Sparks has been. But it's been like 9 months of not really any price movement. Like there's reprints and stuff, but it hasn't really gone out of like the 240 to 260 range for the most part. And so it's just bound to rise eventually as we get less and less supply, and Surging Sparks becomes an like quote unquote old box. Like it feels just like yesterday. Surging Sparks is one of the newest boxes, but it's been like so long since then. Scarlet Violet base sold 2 yesterday, and people are paying 250 for this. It's just that there's one seller over here, so the price hasn't officially gone up, but people are paying the 250 price for Paldea Evolve sold 0 yesterday. This is the first day with no Paldea Evolve sales in almost a whole month. Hasn't the last time it had no sales was August 23rd. But there really isn't that many until 500. It's been like that for a while. Not sure how long it'll take. But yeah, RJ Breaks has these four, which makes it a little cheaper. Paradox Rift sold 0 yesterday, and um, it's just trying to get back to 262 to 265. Temporal Forces, still just under 560. It's been selling almost every day. Took a little break over here. But yeah, most people try and sell for 260. It goes up to 265, 262, like about 270 later on. But there's like quite a bit of supply. There's 9 here. There's 7 here. Twilight's another box I'm kind of looking out for rising. It's still, if you look at the graph, it hasn't stagnated that much. Two sold yesterday. It's just no one has been buying these cheaper boxes, but there's really oh wait, actually I keep forgetting Twilight is the one of like all this supply from Juice Gaming Galaxy and Movies Corner. And then Stellar Crown sold 0 yesterday. Stellar Crown's been a little slow. It kind of always rises just slowly. It's a little more expensive than other boxes, just a little more slowly. Trying to get to like 253, 255. That wraps things up for this video. I hope you walked away with a better understanding of the market. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more deep dives in the Pokemon market. Tell me what's the next big investment you're considering in the comments. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you all later.